que el hombre se encontraba.
Welcome to the MrBoxingguru podcast. Again, it is me, Sal Salvador, MrBoxingguru. Big shout out again to Los Anaya. That intro music that you just listened to is from them. It's Los Anaya, Losanya. Search for them on YouTube, Spotify. They have great music. Check them out. And of course, thank you again to all the folks that listen to this week after week. Look, man, it's clear that you guys do not come here for the blow-by-blow analysis. You guys do not come here for the fight, again, quote-unquote, breakdown. You guys come here for the stories. With that said, let's get to it. In the next couple of weeks, Top Rank will have huge events, not only here at Staples Center, but on 420 or April 20th, or 420, like you might want to like to call it, in Madison Square Garden, where Bud Crawford actually fights the so-fragile now Amir King Khan. But first, let's start with this Loma fight this weekend at Staples Center from, again, Top Rank, ESPN, or Plus, or quien chingao sabe ya que tanto. But this Loma versus Crolla fight, it's so predictable. It's like asking me on Tuesday, what are you going to eat? You know it's tacos. I know it's tacos. Shit, we all know it's tacos. So why even bother asking? Why pay attention? Are we even paying attention? For the most part, it looks like boxing fans know they have options. Exactly that, options. Looking at ticket sales, it looks like, it's not doing that well. I mean, you could actually throw in a random group of 20 if you even want to buy tickets. And they could all your friends and family and tios and tias could all sit together. You already know what's going to happen. You know that at the end of the fight, Crolla is going to sit in a stool and not know what the hell just happened because he's not going to be able to figure out the monster that is Loma. And again, I'm not knocking at Loma. Loma's a great fighter, but I think it's just I know this fight does not belong on a place like Staples. Again, I saw the tickets. It's not there. Look, there's no secret why they added Zurdo to the fight. They know Zurdo has a big fan base here in Southern California. Not to fill up Staples. They added the Barboza fight. Barboza versus Alvarado, which is going to be a great fight. But I still don't think it's enough to not see the tumbleweeds go down Staples Centers. And you might see them because there's a shitload of crazy winds going on here in LA. So don't get freaked out, boxing fans, if you show up to LA this weekend. But it's not going to be enough. Again, we already know what's going to happen. At the end of the fight, when Crawler retires in the stool, Loma will go on to call out Mikey Garcia, call out Tank Davis, well knowing that he himself is being fed that good old wonderful Top Rank diet. A few weeks ago, Top Rank actually announced that they're actually signing Tyson Fury to a ridiculous amount of money. Now, don't get me wrong, this is all great, and I think I talked about it in another podcast. These fighters deserve all the money that they could possibly get. If there's one athlete in the world that deserves, a ridiculous amount of money, it's fighters. But why brag about all this ridiculous amount of money if you're just going to turn around and on 420, you're just going to put Crawford on pay-per-view? Now, we all know Crawford, is a half-dead Brit that, falls every time a motorcycle goes over 45 miles per hour. I think Crawford, being the special talent that he is, deserves better. We all know Crawford's popularity isn't that big. Outside of Omaha, he's not that big. to a boxing fan, he's big, but why give this ridiculous amount of money that a lot of fight fans are paying for? Because a lot of people are actually subscribing to the ESPN app because they know they could get the fights, and they thought maybe it was going to be in the same platform as the Zone where you could actually get all these great fights. But no. At the end of the day, you're not getting the fights that you want. Crawford deserves to be put on those apps, those platforms, deserves to at least be built up to a star that in my opinion, and I think most boxing fans' opinion, believe that Crawford is that star. So why put him in a pay-per-view that nobody's going to buy? I mean, I would buy it, or I would say I'm going to watch the fight. You guys as boxing fans are going to watch the fight. Are you guys going to buy it? Maybe. Are you guys going to stream it? Probably. The one that matters here, and you guys know most, is the casual boxing fan. So my question is, why brag about giving a fighter like Tyson Fury, which is, again, in my opinion, a ridiculous fighter, a guy that, flinches his way into decisions, that amount of money when you well know that he will not be fighting the Joshuas or the Walders of the world out there. Everybody seems to have their own entity, but are going to do this to a great top-ranked fighter, which is Bud Crawford, a guy that deserves to be put in a pedestal for top rank because that's as high as it gets. He's one of the pound-for-pound greats that we currently have, and especially put him against such weak opposition, which is Amir Khan. Look, I get the Amir Khan fight. All the other welterweights are heavy. But to try to charge folks for it is like slapping people in the face. It's not worth it. We've all seen the Amir Khan highlights to know what his career is all about. You're trying to get in a highlight reel fight for a guy like Crawford. And I get it. I get that portion of it. Well, put him on regular TV where your average Joe could watch it. You already have the hardcore fans' money. We'll be more than happy to fork it out. But that casual fan, that guy that randomly talks to you on the cooler, is not going to watch that fight. Why? Because, it's on pay-per-view. And who knows Crawford? Who's he fighting? Not another American dude. He's fighting some Brit that always gets knocked out. So why are you doing this to the boxing fans? I have no idea. On 420, you know what boxing fans, casual boxing fans are going to do? They're going to go into getting high, but they're not going to pay for these high prices. That's just ridiculous. On Saturday night, Golden Boy has a card for Monterrey, Mexico this weekend, broadcasted by DAZN, where the weight Jaime Munguia fights what seems to be another 4'0" opponent. And what is his name? Dennis Hogan? Great last name. The great thing about this fight is we get to see Munguia. The bad thing about this fight is we get to see Munguia at 154 pounds. Look, guys, and again, I get it, quote unquote, he has a belt. But honestly, fuck the belt, man. Let's be real. Let's make the move to 160. Let that big move begin. It's only a matter of time before he has to come at bat and actually fight Canelo. That, at the end of the day, we all know it. You can see that shit a mile away. That is the goal. The Zone has all these fighters at 160 pounds. It looks like that's the place to be. So why not start getting this kid ready for 160 pounds? I get it. He's being built right now, but he doesn't need a belt. A guy like Munguia doesn't need a belt. The Mexican community loves this kid. They know he's huge. They know that's the ultimate goal, to fight a guy like Canelo. And the Jacobs are going to be there. The Andrades or whatever boo-boo his name is. All those fights are going to be there at the Zone. Why not start prepping them up? Let him walk around at 160 instead of hurting this kid's body going down to 154. And when are we going to get rid of Alcazar too? Because let's be honest, what is that? Alcazar might have been great for Oscar De La Hoya in the beginning of his career, but for a guy like Munguia that likes to brawl, that likes to bang, that likes to throw, I don't know, man. I just think it's a bad move. On that same card, Diego De La Hoya fights, and again on the undercard of Jaime Munguia. Look, I know Diego's a hell of a talent, and in my opinion, definitely on his way to being a world beater. But his issue's always been his inactivity. He needs to be more active. He needs to make the weight. I know he's a hell of a talent. I think it's about time the rest of the world sees that he is a hell of a talent. Again, sharp, precise kid. I was there for his debut. When I saw him debut, I wasn't that impressed. But as he started developing under the watchful eye of Joe Diaz, I think he developed him into, from a great prospect to now soon to be a title contender. Again, one of those kids that I really, really look forward to seeing. Also, this weekend, I actually got to go to some local card, which is interesting, I've always been one of those guys that kind of prided himself into being a fan of the local shows. Yeah, the big fights are always going to be there. Big fights don't really need you. Small guys need you. And one of the good things about these smaller shows is that you get to see upcoming talent. You get to see them develop. You get to see them, again, become big. And maybe sometimes, before, go to the HBOs and the Showtimes of the world. Now, of course, we got cards like The Zone and whatnot. But you get to see them, underneath those big, bright lights. This was a little different to me because, again, what I considered a small show was going to Velasco, Kia, going to Fantasy Springs and watching these Golden Boy fights, these, when Top Rank put on a local show or whatnot at the OC hangar. That's what I considered a small show. This was something different. I have gone to them, but I've never really been almost behind the scenes in it, which was a little different. Like I said, those Golden Boy shows, Top Rank shows, they have, at the end of the day, they have the financial backing to do good things and to even develop a fighter if they wanted to, without him selling tickets. But here was a little different because you actually, to be an A-side in these type of cards, you have to be able to sell opponents. Yeah, sell tickets. I'm sorry, not sell opponents. Well, that too, but you have to be able to sell tickets. So you have to be able to sell enough tickets to not only cover that opponent, that guy that they're probably going to bring from Tijuana, a purse, but the promoter has to take a big cut for, again, quote unquote, promoting you. But I really don't know how they're promoting because the tickets that they're selling, it's to their own families. It's not like the promoter actually really sells much tickets. The promoter is there just to pretty much host the event. But they're not. It's not like they're buying radio ads or whatnot. I mean, that again, they're just there to pretty much provide the event. But these kids have to sell tickets to, again, pay the opponent, pay the promoter, and somehow if there's something left, they pay themselves. So they get to take a couple of $100 home, especially after paying their manager, their corner man, because they still have to take a cut. So again, at the end of the night, it takes a couple of $100, and off of that, you still have to pay taxes on it. That to me was pretty interesting because the kid actually has to see and has to sell tickets, at the same time has to train and at the same time has to earn a living, because at the end of the day, you're 18. Unless you're a top-notch prospect, you're not going to you're not just going to walk in and just willy-nilly and just ask for these big fights. So you pretty much have to be sure that you somehow able to sell tickets, able to perform, and somehow just wish and wait that some big promoters calls you up and to the big leagues, and somehow you get to fight for again a top rank, Golden Boy, or even to a certain lower extent, Thompson Boxing. But these kids do it. They somehow do it. They sell the tickets, and because again they have that dream of somehow becoming a good fighter. In the last couple of weeks, I met this kid. His name was Eric Mondragon. Very serious kid, very well mannered. But you can tell the dude had a little hood in him. Uh, Even through, he had a little thug in him. So, but even before the fight, it seems like his confidence wasn't that high. Well, I don't know if he was just nervous pre-fight. But again, and this is this kid going, from the amateurs to now becoming a pro. I saw a transition in him that he got in there. He no headgear, 8-ounce gloves and whatnot, and he transitioned and he became a professional fighter at this point. This kid won by first round knockout, but it seemed like this weight had been lifted off of him after the fight. I mean, the guy was smiling. He almost, how they say about pregnant women, they glow. Something like that, where again, a big weight was lifted off his shoulders. And this kid kind of, I don't know if I could say inspired me or whatnot, but it just shows you that, like I said from the beginning, these kids go through fucking hell to become a professional fighter, to actually only taking a couple of $100 home, to all for a dream. Again, this thing isn't paying them. It's in the hopes they pay them, but it's a huge gamble in life. It's very rare when a guy makes it past 4-rounders, 6-rounders, and much less 10-rounders. So it's kind of neat to see these guys fight. I hope this kid goes out to make a great career of himself. And again, I know he has a little hood in him, so I hope it keeps him off the street for the most part. So, but that was pretty interesting. Other than that, let's see, what else do we have? I know a day or sometimes even a few hours before I record the podcast, I like to ask on Instagram or Twitter or whatnot for questions. They don't necessarily have, a lot of the times, honestly, they're not necessarily about boxing, but nonetheless, I leave it open because I want to ask questions. I want to answer folks' questions to the best of my ability. So here it goes. Let me grab my phone right quick. Let's see. The first one says, Suwoop Alex. I think we answered one of his last week too. It says, and he asks, for my opinion on Teofimo Lopez, and what can Zurdo do at 175? Will Loma ever fight a big name at 130? Lex, all these are fighters that are part of the top-ranked diet. Teofimo Lopez will eventually leave to a promoter that actually gives him the fights that he wants and the money that he wants. So, again, Teofimo Lopez has probably one of the biggest upside. I think Teofimo Lopez and Virgil Ortiz are my favorite prospects moving into contender status guys out there. Really, really special kids. But, again, right now let's focus on Teofimo. Teofimo, I don't think there's one guy his age that could touch him. He's that special. He's fast. He's strong. You not always get that. You always get that fast guy, or you get a strong, bulky guy. He seems to be both. He has a great personality. Sometimes might come off like a little asshole, but nonetheless, he's a good kid. I think he means well. I think it's just it's a New Yorker, and I get it. He has to pump himself up. Who would he fight? I right now you can't say. You can't say. The top ranked diet, it's deep. Top rank babies you as much as possible, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day they know how to make champions. Again, Zurdo will forever be Zurdo. His career will always be as monotone as the teacher from the Bueller movie. Bueller. Yeah, that guy. Loma will continue to fight the basic fighters of the world. It's in his meal plan. Again, the top-ranked diet. Maverick 9412 asks, your thoughts on Hammer Shields? Well, Maverick, this is what the supporters of women boxing wanted. For women to be on the big stage. This is, in my opinion, a huge fight, if not the biggest woman fight in boxing. If they do not deliver, they will regress the sport, the great momentum that women boxing has as of late. With that said, I think I have Shield stopping Hammer in a weird fight. Somehow it's gonna with just not ending. Something's not going to end right. I hope I'm wrong. But because honestly, Maverick, fucking Shields cae mal, man. She's not. Again, you shouldn't judge her based on that, but because honestly, she's an amazing athlete, but she seems like an asshole. Fabian Gonzalez now asks, let us know about your pound for pound list. Who do I think? Who do I think he's asking me? Who are my 1 and 2 pound for pound? Fabian, my main guy on my mythical pound for pound list is Usyk at number 1, Canelo at number 2, Loma at number 3, Crawford at number 4, Inoue at number 5. Of course, with the whole pound for pound mythical list, you could always go up and down, and you could make an argument for each and every one of those guys. But I think Usyk really deserves it to be the number 1 guy. He did clean up the cruiserweight division. Now it appears that he's going up to heavyweight and doing that. So he definitely deserves it, especially after the tournament. And Bully Squad, again, something about Usyk here. The Bully Squad asks, okay, he has a long question, but I'm going to just shorten it out. The Bully Squad asks, Usyk versus Carlos Takam is pretty much a fight that, so he's pretty much saying that Usyk versus Carlos Takam is a measuring stick for Usyk, since Takam has fought AJ and Parker, and he goes on, of course. Bully, you're absolutely right. It is a measuring stick. This is a great measuring stick. I'm glad that you were actually caught that. The cruiserweight division is just like a stepping stone into guiding yourself to fight eventually at heavyweight. That's what a lot of fighters do. That's what a lot of big fighters do. They have to make 200 pounds. The next day they get to balloon up to, I don't know. I mean, if Chavez Jr. ballooned up 20 pounds, I could assume that a guy weighing 189 pounds could balloon up another 25 pounds easily, especially since he has a bigger frame. It's going to be a great measuring stick, a great event for a guy like Usyk, because now we'll be able to make those comparisons a bit more clear to the AJs of the world, the big men, the super heavyweights that are out there. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Usyk, I think, has a frame, because I think he's 6'3". He has the frame to be able to carry those extra 25 pounds fairly well. I don't think he'll go up that high, maybe around 215. Again, no more than 220. But and you know what? Another thing, I think he'll be able to pop a little harder at heavyweight, because now he's gonna, again, he doesn't have to shrink himself down to 199 or 200 pounds. Now he could actually come at his natural weight. No kind of drainage, nothing. He just gets to go in there and fight. And you never seen happier fighters at weigh-ins than heavyweight fighters. So I'm sure he's even going to be in a better mood than most. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Usyk fight. And bring it on. Last but not least, ¿quién es este? Because ya me quiero dormir. Beto Duran actually asked, is it hard to do a podcast? The question, honestly, is, yeah, it is, man. It's really, in my opinion, it's really difficult. Not the techie part of it, because at the end of the day, you'll figure it out. That's not the hard part about it. I think the hard part is more than anything talking to yourself and somehow just, being able to focus, just, again, grabbing a microphone, talking to yourself and trying to go through articles as you're doing, because in my opinion, I don't like reading stuff. That's why I read, I'm going to stutter a bit more. So I honestly would have quit already. It's been tough, but I've gotten a lot of great feedback from some of you guys. I gotten feedback from some of you guys, some veterans that are out there that are consistently giving me constructive criticisms and criticisms. And I'm talking about veteran, not your average Joe, your average fan, where he says good job or bad, la cagas. Guys that are saying ask this, mention this, mention that. How did the podcast start? Why are you mentioning this? Where did the fight happen? Where will it happen? And whatnot. So little pointers like that maybe I haven't been able to grasp yet, but are somehow fixing little by little. But when people like that take the time to actually give you feedback, you can't help but to say, okay, if these folks are actually giving me feedback and not just talking shit about the podcast, they must see something in you that, or just the fact that people take the time to watch, or not watch, but listen to your podcast and listen to you rant for hours or minutes in this case about stuff that they could have watched somewhere else. They could have watched on ESPN or whatnot. But the fact that people take the time to write down these notes and somehow give them to me the next day, I think means the world. And if you're listening, which I really hope you do, this one, you know who you are, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Again, I can't thank you enough. When that everybody has a good role model, good mentor in boxing, and when that mentor tells you that every time there's a podcast out, they tell you that I wake up and go get ready and get my coffee and listen to your podcast and listen to you every time there's a podcast. That means the world, especially when that person is a hell of a mentor to you. And that to me means the world. And again, if it wasn't for people like that, I would have probably stopped it. My wife, again, she helps me upload all this chingadera. I just sit here talk, and then I tell her, hey, vieja, vente, come take care of this, and she does the rest. But yeah, again, Beto, I guess going back to your original question, yes, it's hard, but is it worth it? Hell yes. And I will continue to do it. With that said, this is the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, guys, make sure you guys like, rate, and view it. Like it on YouTube. And again, this is the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast, or Mr. Boxing Guru on Spreaker.com, on what else? We're on Spotify. Spotify is huge. I have a lot of people that listen to it on Spotify. And, of course, iTunes. Again, make sure you're ready to give my 5 stars, only if you guys think I deserve it. With that said, thank you guys so much. Again, this has been the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Nos vemos. Se la lavan. Nos quiero un chingo. Adiós.
Dicen que lo fusilaron, otros que se fue muy lejos.